if you study ancient Jewish meditation, and if you know me, you know I share a lot about meditation and the importance of meditation, as well as provide guided Christian meditations on YouTube, you would know something very incredible. There's a scripture in the Bible where God says to Moses, go up the mountain and be there. Go up the mountain and be there. When you read and understand meditation and the importance of meditation, you actually find a very phenomenal thing. The reason why he says that to him is because most people show up, but they're not present. And even more so, some people don't even show up. One of the most problematic issues in most Christians' lives is what we call automaticity. Most people are just floating through life. You are floating through your relationship, you are floating through your business, you are floating through fatherhood, you are floating through life. And what's happening is we are doing this on autopilot. We're not present. Our mind is not present. We're not grounded in what we are doing. And the reason why marriages are struggling and all these things are happening is because most of us are actually not present. My wife and I actually got to a point, and this is actually very interesting, we got to a point where we almost divorced. And we found quickly what the problem was. At that point, we were just a boat drifting in the water. There was no intention, there was no purpose, there was no desire to build an actual system. And if you understand farming, you understand a very interesting perspective in farming. Farming actually, you have to be intentional about removing weeds. Nobody ever actually goes to plant weeds. Weeds just grow on their own. And so what you have to do as a farmer is you have to make a commitment to follow up and de-weed your own field. And that applies in your marriage, in your home, in your corporate life, in your family, whatever it is that you are doing. Why is that? Because bad culture happens. Nobody teaches people bad culture. The culture of showing up late just happens. One person does it, 2 people do it, 20 people do it. And as I was leading a church, I remember something very phenomenal. There was a young man who joined our church, and he used to be on time earlier than everybody. At some point, he then became part of the culture, and he was one of the people who came in late all the time. The interest didn't change. The passion didn't change. He's still passionate about the church, about what we did, but he learned something from everybody in the culture. He became to adopt what he learned from the weeds. And so we have to be very intentional about where we are, what we are doing, what we are thinking. The problem with social media as well is we scroll mindlessly. We live mindlessly. We go to work mindlessly. I mean, I can drive from here to any place without actually having to think about it. I don't have to think about changing gears. I don't have to think about which road to turn onto. All of this is automaticity. And one of the most important things then for a Christian, and I want you to hear me and hear me very well, be intentional about every aspect of your life. Be present. God actually then says to Moses, when you get there, be there. Because it's easy for you to walk in there and just drift off. How many of us go into church to pray and we're not present? How many of us are in worship? We just really like the song and it passes by and it's gone because we are not actually present. And so I want to teach you today to learn to be mindful. Mindfulness matters. Unfortunately, this thing has been hijacked and taken over by Eastern teachings and so forth. So some Christians are going to be offended thinking we're talking about strange things. That's not what we're talking about here. I'm teaching you to be mindful. Be present in this moment. Where are you right now? What are you doing in this moment? What is God saying to you? And I say this to Christians all the time. God speaks all the time. Pay attention, listen, open your ears and hear the voice of God because He's speaking continuously. He's speaking about your choice of clothes. He's speaking about your life. He's speaking about your health. He's speaking about your children. He's speaking about every aspect of your life. And what you now need to do is you need to learn to be mindful. You need to get rid of automaticity in your life. You need to make an intention to be present to the voice of God, present to what God is speaking in your life, present in every aspect of your life, to actually begin to pay attention to where you are, what you're doing, how you're doing it, and everything such as that. This is a very important part of your life. And more so, it is one of the most essential parts of your Christian life. When you get home, be with your kids. When you're at work, give it your all. When you are praying, pray and be present while praying. When you're walking and talking to God, be present and be all in.